Welcome back, everyone. A question that's probably on everybody's mind is, can I retire, or will I be able to retire? And if so, when will I be able to retire? That's, of course, a question that's always going on in the back of my mind. And so what I thought I'd do in this video is quickly talk about how to retire and how to plan for retirement at a very, very basic, rudimentary, high level, so that even a person who doesn't understand finance should be able to plan with some basic math and some basic planning. And I also want to be able to show that you do not have to be earning six figures to be able to plan for retirement. With some basic income, with some basic level of security, you should be able to plan for retirement, and the video will show you how you do that. So I'll see you on the other side. So what I tried to do here was put together a very basic template of how one's money would grow based on specific decisions that the person made. And I'll walk you through what assumptions I made and what the requirements are. But essentially what I'm trying to show is, even with a starting salary of $50,000, which again for some may be quite a high salary, but assuming that you've got an undergrad degree and you're starting to work in a place that gives you close to $50,000, I wanted to walk through what retirement would look like and what the requirements would be for you to be able to retire at a proper age. Let's start with the assumption. The assumption, like I said, is here this person is making $50,000. They have an undergrad degree, or even if they don't have a degree, right? This person starts working at the age of 20 with that specific salary. If they start working earlier, then even better. But the requirement is this person starts working at the age of 20 with a salary of $50,000, at least as per the template that I put together. As the years go by, this person, of course, gets an increase in their salary, a basic increase of 2%, which matches what the inflation would be. And this person is expected to continue to work till the age of 70 is when this person plans to retire. Again, very basic assumption is that they work that same job for 50 years. They get their annual 2% inflation raise, and so all is good. There's no any major, problem here. Okay, I fixed that. There's no any major job changes that would result in a bump in salary. If that is the case, then even better. You probably hit your goal faster, but this is assuming just a steady growth in your salary. So let's assume that this person is now saving 5%. This is the important part. It's very important that out of your salary, there's a certain part of it that you have to put towards savings, that you do not touch in your day-to-day expenditure, whether it's paying rent, paying utilities, entertainment, food, clothing, whatever, travel, whatever it may be. You have to make sure that you do not touch that. In this case, I'm putting a very conservative 5%. So 5% of the $50,000 is $2,500 in a year, which is approximately $200 a month that this person must put aside. Now, what do they do with that money? They can't really put that in a bank. That's not really the best use of that money. They have to put it in a place that gives them a decent return on their investment. Here, the assumption I'm making is that this money is giving them at least a basic return of 5%, which, if you look at indexed funds, if you look at the index like S&P 500 or NASDAQ, over the past 30 years, they have given at least 5% return back to the investor. So let's make the assumption that this person is putting their $2,500 into a 401k plan or an IRA, essentially a pre-tax retirement plan that gives them the 5% return. So it could be an ETF that's an indexed ETF or any other form of retirement fund. So the retirement, the rate of return gives them 5%. So at the end of the first year, they just put their money in at the end of the year. So $2,500 is what they have in their bank. At the end of their second year, because their salary has gone up by 2%, so their new salary is $51,000, they now have not only the 2,500 that they will be saving, a little more than 2,500 that they will be saving and putting into the bank, but they also have the appreciated 2,500 from the previous year. So net, they have 5,175 in their bank account. In year number 3, not only will they have the 2,500 again that they put in from year number 2, but also the appreciated 5,175 in their bank. So now at the end of year 2, they have 8,035, and so on and so forth. And as you can see, with the magic of compound interest, when they're 70, assuming they have not touched that money, and assuming that they consistently put 5% of their total income, which will increase over a period of time, they will have a little more than $250,000 at the age of 70. So $774,000 at the age of 70. That's an amazing number, right? Now let's start looking at, will they be able to retire at that? Let's assume that this person wants to retire at the age 70, that they'll live for another 15 years, so they'll pass away at the age of 85. So they've got 15 years without any work-related income that they have to spend to be able to fend for themselves and live the lifestyle that they've used to living. So let's assume that they continue to live at that $50,000 lifestyle. Then what they could do is, if they needed $50,000, there are two ways to look at it, right? If they needed $50,000 a year to live, and the assumption is $50,000 in tomorrow's money, of course, is much less than it is in today's money. But the assumption is that they've maybe bought a house and paid it off. They don't have any additional costs like vehicles, and they're living a basic living. They're not going overboard, traveling to Monaco or Monte Carlo and all those places, but they're living a decent, happy life in retirement. In which case, there are two ways to look at it. Assuming that this person starts pulling out of their retirement fund, then they've got 15 years to live. 15 years and $50,000 a year gives them $750,000 is what they have to spend. And as you can see, they have $774,000 in their bank account, so they can pull really $750,000 of it out and spend $50,000 a year living they want to live. That's option number one. Not the best option, not probably the worst option, because at the end of it, when they do pass away, they really have only $24,000 left in the bank for any future generation, for donations or whatever they would want to do with it. The goal is you want to be able to leave behind money for your future generation as inheritance, or donate it, or essentially make the money that that you've earned through a hard living, make sure that it moves on to someone else and benefits someone else one way or another. So the best way to do it is be able to pull from that $750,000 not the principal, but just the interest. So what they would want to do is pull the interest out of it. And so what they will be pulling is really the rate of return, which is 5% out of that account. And every year they have tax-free $37,500 to spend towards their day-to-day living. They would be doing that for the next 15 years. And at the end of 15 years, when they do pass away, they still have $750,000, rather $774,000 left in their bank account that they can then pass on for inheritance or as a gift, or donate, really, depending on where they want to do. So what this tells you at the basic high level is a couple of things you have to follow. One, you start off with a decent salary, right? Two, you have to save. You have to make sure you're saving a bare minimum. In this case, I've made the assumption that you're saving 5%. You have to put money away and not use it. One, right? That's number one. Number two is that money has to be making more money for you. So there has to be a good rate of return. So don't put that money under the pillow. Don't put that money in a piggy bank or an actual bank in a savings account. You have to put it in the market where the risk is slightly higher, but the reward is also decently higher. And so now you're getting your 5%, 10% rate of return, depending on how the market does. And like I said, over a period of 30 years, index funds or the stock market in general has given an average rate of return above the 5% that we're calculating here. So that's a second thing that they have to do. The third thing is they have to be committed. They have to be committed to living the lifestyle that they live without going overboard. And then the fourth thing that they have to do is when they pull the money, they're pulling only the interest. They're not touching the principal, so that, again, they can move that money on to the next of kin, to a family member, to their children, or donate to a favorite charity that they may have. So that's really in an entirety what really entails. So as you can see, at least at that 20,000 foot level, you should be able to retire even with a basic starting salary of $50,000. Now, again, the assumption I made here was that this person starts working at the age of 20, and they've got a well planned out life in front of him. What happens now if you're 40 years of age and you're like, oh crap, I haven't saved anything? What do I do? It could still be possible. Let's work out that scenario here, right? So what I'm going to do is change everything to zero over here. I start making, say, the $50,000 when I'm 40. At the age of 70, you've made only $224,000. So an option is you continue to work more beyond 70 before, so that you start getting closer to that $750,000 or less. Or the second option is increase your savings rate, right? So right now we were saving 5%. Let's increase that to a 15% saving. So you're saving 15% off your income. So approximately $7,500 every year is what you need to save. As you can see, by the end of 70, you're at $672,000. So closer to the $750,000. And so potentially you can retire on that $672,000. So again, very, very doable even if you start planning for retirement at the age of 40. You do have to take a few more risks. Let's assume that, again, rate of return becomes 10%. So your risk is higher. Look at that, 1.6 million at the age of 70. That assuming that your rate of return is 10%, which is a risky return. So I wouldn't recommend that. But moving back to a generic 5%, you're still able to do it at 672. But as Dave Ramsey would say, you've got to live on rice and beans and rice for a long time, and make sure that you're committed to saving 15%. Hopefully this helps. What I'm trying to show here is that whatever your age, have a plan, right? Have a plan for when you want to retire, how you want to retire, and based on that, make sure you're putting the right amount of money away, and that money is making more money for you. Hope this helps. I will see you guys on the other side. Take care.